All right, there we go. Hey, Emerson, how's it going? Hope you're doing well today. Hope you're doing well. I hope my stream is running okay. It looks like it. Oh, here we go. Oh, streaming again. Streaming again. Got to get back into the mindset. It's been a nice long weekend for me. And yeah, got up early, did a workout, and now I gotta do my stream. So today, I'm gonna be working on my SVG library. Doing fine. What about me? Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. I checked out. I booked a climbing session at a gym near where I live for 7 a.m. So I had to get up early and bike there. But started off with a really good workout, feel my arms are tired and sore from the workout, but that's the point, right? And that puts me in a good mood, working out right in the morning. I love that. And just about to get going. Oh boy. All right. Let's see here. So I've got a few things going on here. First off, I'm gonna move this REPL somewhere else. I think I'll move it here. Just have it down here. It's nice. Yeah, I really like so climbing's great, but the gym also has like weightlifting and stuff, so I did both, some climbing and weightlifting, and I love both of those things, and biking. So I hit the trifecta of sports that I like to do. Okay, so we've got a few things going on here. Here's the REPL. Here's and here is the library I'm working on. So there's a few things I have to start adding back in, kind of consolidating, making things better overall. So to begin, I want to take, actually, even before I do this, I just realized there's a change I made that I need to finish up. Let's see. Anything new going on with you, Marison? Still playing? I think you mentioned a while ago you play Apex Legends with your friends, was it? Still on that game, or are you doing other games now? Right, so we've got here a new category of element types, composites. Composites are drawing elements that are not represented in the base SVG elements. For example, arrows are combinations of a polygon and line shape. These kinds of composite shapes should work as if they were base elements. This means that all transform functions must work normally on them. This shouldn't be too hard actually, as composites are mostly going to be grouped up elements anyway. Well, okay, that's good enough. Okay, so there. So we're gonna have here, I can paste some things in, but before I even do that, what I actually do want is to just quickly go through and delete any calls to spec, or not calls to any yeah. Right, so here, these container elements. Oh, I don't have a spec for that anyway. That's good. Here, these are what I'm getting rid of. I don't need them anymore. Spent a lot of time making them, but they're not actually helping me, so why keep them then, right? Then, yeah, just keep going, making sure to get rid of everything properly. I did the wrong thing. No more specs there. Good. These ones I want to get rid of as well. Okay. Oh, this is not supposed to be there anyway. Nice. All right, so that is that chunk gone. Let's see what specs are there. Get rid of this. Love to see it. Here's the spec. Get rid of all that. It's maybe a bit of a shame. Some of these are like, some of these encode useful details, but not much point if it's going to break your compatibility and stuff like that, right? I'll just come up with a better way. Although I do realize there's probably one spot where this is here. This is really probably important to have here. Shoot, that's maybe one problem. Oh, we can also check check the status of things here. SVG, source, specs, yeah. Okay, so, these centroid ones for sure can go away. Let's see. This path spec is definitely not needed. save this. Right, so we've got path command things here. Let's double check this here. Oh, I'm worrying about this for no reason. I'm not actually using the spec in the path thing anyway, so I also don't need it there, right? Yeah, I don't. Okay, that's good. So here, let me just remember how to get this. Where to go? Spec here. So this is the 3. Yeah, let's get rid of it. Part of me doesn't like this because the specs are theoretically a really helpful thing, but they ended up making the library a little more complicated than I'm really happy with. In particular, it made it hard / impossible to properly load the SVG stuff into Babashka, which is a really important use platform for me. I want to be able to use the SVG elements in Babashka for the potential of future native compilation reasons. But that is a little beyond the scope of this. It's just, the specs were causing more trouble than they were worth. Right, so here I've just got the centroid stuff. Here's a spec. Don't need it. And then, yeah, okay. Here's one. And bounds is the same thing. Okay. Source list remove specs. Now tangle it. If it, okay, specs is gone. That's good. Oh, let me just show this a little bit here. This is the source directory. Elements and path. Oops. Elements, path, and transforms are the 3. Oh, and utils, but you need that no matter what. Elements, path, transforms, and utils are the 4 cross-compatible things. Tools is a CLJ only thing because it's got a bunch of JVM utility in it. And I have to double check, but I want Watcher not to exist anymore. So Watcher, get out of there. Let's save, tangle. Let's make sure. Okay, good. So we're down to a total of 5 namespaces, which is pretty good. Maybe in the future there's more that get added, but for the time being, this is actually not bad at all. Okay, so the spec stuff is all gone. That is actually really nice. Oh yeah, I have to. Let me remember how to run tests because I don't remember at the moment. Okay, to run tests in terminal. There's a way to run the test runner, but I forget it. I think it's test. I think. Yeah. So actually, I think I could do this. Begin source shell. Does this work? I don't remember. CLJ-M test. Results silenced. Oh yeah, right. Ugh. I forget how to do that. Let's just do so new file shell echo hi. Yeah, okay, that does work. Does this work? If I just do yes. Okay, so let me just double check that this was working the way I think it is. CLJ E. This should print 4. Yeah. Okay, so that is working. It's just I forget how to show results. Right, so right here it's got results none. Let's see here. Results drawer, does that work? The intricacies of Emacs org mode are complex enough that I never remember them to be able to quickly diagnose if something goes wrong. Normally things are fine, but every once in a while you get some strangeness. Right, so if I do this now, will it show me what I need? Ah, it does. See, that's kind of cool to just run it inside the dock like that. I mean, I guess that's kind of cool. Right, run tests with the following. You can in org mode Emacs org mode, yeah, org mode, like this. There we go. You can execute the block in Emacs org mode to see the results printed into the document directly. You can also just run the command in the terminal using the terminal. Run it from the project's root directory. Boom. Okay. So there we go. Just use that to confirm that tests are passing. Even when I deleted bits code, that's good. Get status, modified and deleted. Let's push those changes. Commit message, deleted all specs. They were more trouble than benefit, unfortunately. Might recreate the idea of spec. Might recreate the specs later using what is it, Molly? Huh. Trying to figure out how. Clojure spec alternatives. I think it's called Molly, M-A-L-L-I, but I don't remember. Clojure Molly. Yes. Of course, Metosin. They've got all kinds of crazy, awesome libraries. So of course it's them. Yeah. There we go. Git push. Just saw someone subscribe on my YouTube channel. If you're also tuned in on the stream right now, by random happenstance, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Anyone at all who has ever followed the channel or subscribed to YouTube or sent messages or anything like that, genuine thanks for interaction and feedback. It's always really exciting to interact with people who are interested in the stuff I'm working on. So that's a general thank you to everyone. I appreciate it a lot. Let's see here. Yeah. Right. Okay, so we've got a few little changes built in there. Now I'm ready to add some stuff to the library. So far, I've literally just deleted things, which I love doing because it means you're getting, you're kind of narrowing in on the focus of the library a bit. But now it's time to add a few composites. And the thing about these is, I've already done this a bunch. Kill that buffer, I don't need it. If I pop over to this QPunk, this is a library I've been building for quilt design stuff. It's separate, but there are some elements I have in this library that actually make sense to just put into my actual SVG library directly. So let's start with some of these simple ones. Let's do search for arrow. Here we are. Okay, so well, let's start with this super simple thing here. We've got arrow. Let's go. Let's see how we can make this work. Right? Oh, this is also a really good opportunity to mess around, to try out. Ooh, I'm in the wrong namespace. That's bad. Well, bad. That's a mistake. Ooh, I also realized I don't need this here. Yes, love these changes. Love when the library's getting cleaner. That's so... love it. Love it. Right, so here, what I'm doing what am I doing? I do want to pull in transforms. I do want utils and I do want string. That makes sense. What I need is to see if this will work. Right, no such library SVG. And that makes sense because what's going on here is the composite, right? So I've got G already in this namespace. These utils, they all make sense where they're at. Transform, I need that. Polygon is in this namespace. There, that should work. So now let's add in just this little treat here. This should work, right? Ooh. What did I messed something up here? Extra spec. What's the reader conditional again? Is that it? All right, so tools. Yes, okay, good. Cider show arrow 0 0 10 10. Oh, it looks like a little bit of garbage. Let's do this. Something is not quite right. Let's do this. This little tool here, Cider Show, is I'm really pleased with it so far. Ooh, line doesn't show up at all. Let's see here. Oh, wait. Shouldn't it show up though? Oh. Right, so this arrow needs to be improved somewhat because of default fills and stuff like that. So let's give a little think. Let's give this a little think. But even before I do that, let me try Cider Show. TF style line 0 0. Let's do 50 50. Yeah. Stroke black. Oh, this is tools. Yeah, okay, so something's a little bit off with this line here. How am I gonna fix? Well, let's just do this. SVG, that whole thing, and we'll give it 100 100. Yeah. If I make it 50 50, yeah. Okay, let's do this. 100 100. Instead of line, we'll do arrow. Something's not quite right with that, so we've got to figure that out. Let's actually have a look here. SVG arrows. Let's see what shows up with this stuff first. How about that? This is not what I need. See here, right? There's oh boy. Okay, so this is weirdly complicated. Let me mess around with this for a second. This is not a solution, but this is me trying to remember how I did this. Oh, there we go, right? So we're getting closer. Let's actually make this size 5. See, I'm starting to remember now that arrows and stuff kind of go wonky with scaling and whatnot, but that'll be something to solve in a minute. I have to be right back and go to the washroom, so let's do this. There it is. Okay, right, so arrows. Let's think about this just a little bit. What's going on, first of all? Actually, before... Yeah, that's working. Okay. All right, let's have a look. Well, let's start by getting rid of the style calls to everything. Let's just have a basic group like this. Translate, rotate, all that stuff is fine, I guess. Oh. Oh yes, I remember now. So what's going on here is a little bit of a weird thing. Where, well, first of all, get rid of that. Excuse me. Right, so what's happening here, I have two polygons here, and what's going on is they're both at each end of the line. So if, for example, if I just get rid of this and do it again, can't see it that well. It's hard to see it, but there's an arrow tip on both ends. It's just that one of them is typically set to have no fill and no stroke, and the reason for that is for rotation and translate. It's so that the center. Excuse me. It's so that the midpoint calculation of an arrow is equivalent to a line. So here, TF/centroid, for example, right, of a line between 0, 0 and 10, 10 should be 5, 5. And the same, if I convert the line to an arrow, I want it to be the same. So it's got this weird thing going on here because floating point rounding errors and all that stuff, but that's neither here nor there. If I were to comment out this one and then calculate centroid, it's way off because of the mass of the head of that arrow. It changes the calculation. So it's not exactly flawless, but it works okay. I just have to think for a brief moment. If I do cider show of a circle, oh, I keep forgetting to do that. Tools / so the fill of a thing by default is black. That's the assumed fill. If I do a line, of a line, cite or show a line. The default color is it's the same. The fill is black, but there's no fill for a line. There's only the stroke. And the stroke by default doesn't, it's not there. So an arrow by default should also oh, sorry, let me do this. You should by default see just the triangle that is the head of the arrow, but that's not really what I want. This is actually kind of complicated. I have an idea, but I'll get there in a moment. Right, so right, all I wanted to do here is actually get rid of the, let's just not style this at all. Yeah, so here we go. So this is equivalent to the default no style thing. You can see the triangle of the arrow head there, and that's not exactly ideal, but so it goes, right? So it goes. The idea I had was something like this. If I do I want to do something like this. Okay, so I'm gonna have a multiple arity here. Right, so it's gonna be A, B, and I'm gonna copy this whole thing. Come on. Yeah. Okay. Right, so what the idea is here actually is when I call the function with just a, b, I want a default arrow tip size and shape. And I want it to be this, the tip tip geometry basically, and then tip shape. Yeah, this is what I want to do. So, right, so I need to just make sure these will make sense. So this let tip points, oops, it looks like that, and then tip shape is polygon tip points, okay? And then you call arrow AB tip shape like this. So that's the 2 arity, and then the 3 arity here. has R, yeah, so MXMY is the midpoint of the tip piece itself. So instead of centroid of points, it's actually just going to be like this, centroid. This, by the way, gets deleted. Tip shape there. And then the radius thing is the same. Then here, it's already a polygon, so it's just going to be tip shape like this. And just to be safe, I'm going to blank out the style and then just do this. So any other properties attached to it get erased in the case of the invisible shape. We need it to exist but be invisible. And then this one here has only, do I want to do that tip shape like this? Has its default style attached to it. I think this will work. Okay, so it looks like it's working so far, right? But if I call this with circle 20, it seems to work. Seems to work. Yeah, okay, that's pretty promising, honestly. Let's do this here. Let's do stroke blue and fill blue as well. Yeah, that is, I think, a pretty reasonable way to make this shape type. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's see here. Yeah. Oh no. I realize it would actually make a lot of sense to generalize this. Let's think about this just a little bit. Just a bit. Right? So we've got three components to an arrow. We've got the so the start and end points are the geometrical things. Then you've got at the start point either no tip or some shape. At the end point you also have either no tip or some thing. If both of them have nothing, it's just a line. But you also have the line itself, which you could, for indication purposes, have it actually be a path of some kind. It doesn't have to be a straight line. It can be a Bezier, it can be a polyline. It could actually be anything. So do I want to make an arrow builder function of some kind? That would be pretty cool. Let's mess around with that briefly. Build arrow, right? So you've got How do I want to do this? Well, let's just make it really gross right now. A, B, A shape, B shape, and then curve. Curve shape. Actually, A shape, B shape, curve. Where curve is a line or polyline or something like that. Right? I mean, at its most basic, like honestly, this part is really quite straightforward. Is it true? Let's start like this. Okay. So we got A and B midpoints with B shape and all that stuff. So so B and A don't exist yet, but I do need them to exist. So valid curves can be right. So we've got line, which is going to be, you get A and B from the line props directly. You could do polyline, which is a list of points. Which you get from you get from that string, which I have functions for already. I just forget where I put them. Path slash SVG-CLJ slash path dot path slash bez ABC which again you can get theoretically the first and last points of that stuff. And then there's of course arc paths that you could have as well, and the bane of my existence, the arc. Yeah, A is the angle. No, that's not true. A is the position, center, and then degrees is the amount of spin around it, so 90. There's that. So in theory, you can get the, you know what? This is a good idea, but I'm gonna make it later. To be added later, a arrow builder function that lets you give a curve, a start shape, and end shape, and it builds the appropriate group. This could be a basis for a bunch of utility arrows. Example, curves could be line, polyline, Beziers, and arcs. Yeah. Okay. Right. So there would have to be a bunch of stuff to work on there. So that I'm just going to take it away from there. Keep it as a note, and that's good enough. So we've got an arrow function that works okay. Let's see, what's the next little step here? Am I happy with how I've done this arrow thing? I'm gonna say that I am for the time being. It gives me the freedom to add a new shape to the tip, and it has a built-in default, so, right? Like, it does work just fine. Those numbers are a little gross, to be honest. That comes from, do I have a utils/round function? I do. 4.5 to 4 places. Right, so actually while I'm at it, let's change the rounding a bit. I think it probably comes from the rotate, because that's where a lot of floating point math ends up. So let's have a little peek at that, shall we? Actually, I'm just thinking about whether or not it is a good idea to do rounding, or if I should actually leave it until the stage in the game where I am ready to compile it. Maybe I'll just leave that alone. It's not breaking anything. At least I don't think it's breaking anything. But we'll see. What is quote? I think it's quotient, maybe? Quosh. Clojure dot source. Oh, quotient, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's not related to rounding. That's fine. Right, all right, let's just keep adding some shapes here, right? Why not? Why not? Composites. Arrow makes sense to add as a composite. A label. Does that make sense? I kinda think it does. Right, composites. arrow is the one I just added, obviously. Let's split this off here and let's add label. This is a helpful default for text elements. It expects a font size arg. This could be reworked in future. What does a text element look like just on its own? Let's do tools/cider show text hello. It doesn't work. Oh, right. It's not going to work because I don't have proper bounding box for text. And I have to fix that, actually. What? Yes. No. Close. There's nothing there. Tools, save SVG. Text hello. Let's save it to test.html. Yep, of course. I have to do this. SVG. Okay. Open test.html. There's no text element. Or is there? Fill blue. Font size 12. I'm trying to figure out what the minimum required things are for a text element to show up. SVG text element. Color properties for HTML only. Right, so it does need text. Why is text such a pain in the butt? It should be easy. I want it to be easy. It isn't, but I want it to be. Yeah. So font 13 pixels sans serif. It looks like maybe this has to be pixels. Font family. Is that correct? Kinda. Why is it not showing up? That's what I don't understand. Font size. Maybe it is, and I'm just, I mean, there's something there. What's going on though? That's not correct. Text anchor middle. Text align center. All right, now let's put the label thing in here and see what's going on. How about that? Right, so we've got text anchor middle, text align. Right, let's try this one more time. Instead of text though, we'll do label, right? So we need to pass it a font size. Let's try that. Ooh. Sup. Okay, there. So something's showing up there. Something's just going weird. I just have to figure out what this is all about. Wait a second, what? I'm letting myself get confused here, unfortunately. Okay, so that is, ouch. Let's do another thing, right? I want to take this, let's transform, translate this whole thing. To 50-50. Okay, there we go. So now it's centered there. That gets rid of silly things. If I get rid of all of this stuff, it does render, and the default size looks like it's like Times New Roman or Georgia or something like that, 13 or 12. So there are some defaults. So the text element should theoretically work just as well. So I should be able to just do this. If I turn label back into text, it makes me wonder if label, yeah, okay, so it does render. It makes me wonder if label is a good idea. Or not. Ugh, Firefox default font settings. SVG text element default font settings. Yeah. Font. Attributes on the, yeah. All fonts have an aspect value, which is the difference in size between the lowercase x and the uppercase X of that font. Oh, I've never heard of that before. That's pretty cool, actually. Font size adjust allows you to change the aspect value so that different fonts will display at the same size. Support is limited, of course. Oof. Okay. This is probably not what I want to do. Let's see. This is honestly, this is hard for me to figure out exactly what I want to do. So the first thing I want to do, actually, the first thing I'm going to do is so this text align thing is, by the way, not anything that I need. Let's def A is a group of a circle of size 4. Transform style. I need to do this. Fill red. Yeah, that's the transform. And then text. No, let's do label 12. Hello. Okay, so it's a group with a circle and some text. That's good. Now let's do tools, save SVG, translate. I don't need to translate text. I want it to be A. Okay. All right, so here we've got this big red dot that indicates the center alignment of the text. What I'm curious about is if there's some property that I can apply to the text. So text align is not what I thought it was, so I don't need it. So let's get rid of it. Oh, I did. All right, let's save that. No. Text anchor, align. This is not correct at all. That's nothing. It's nothing. Text align. What's align last? I don't know. Anchor. Emphasis is not. Indent. Justify. Ooh, wait. What's text justify? Oh, that's never mind. That's not what I need. Orientation, overflow. What's overflow? Clip, ellipsis, inherit, initial, revert, unset. Geez, there's actually a lot of. Boy, let's do text dash. No text. Geometric precision. Okay, these are not, that's unrelated to what I need. That's okay though. Well, what's underlined position? Text transform? Capitalize? That doesn't work. SVG text center. How to place and center text. Okay. This might be helpful. Dominant baseline. This is what I was wondering about. Okay, so let's see if that actually works. Dominant baseline middle. Let's try that. Oh, I have to redefine A, I think. Yeah, it worked. Okay. So that is positive. That's a positive thing. The next thing. I'm percolating on an idea or two here. All right, let's have a look back here at font typical aspect values. Okay. Aspect ratio table of common fonts. Yeesh. This is the reason I'm thinking through this stuff is related to estimating a text bounding box without knowing exactly the size of the text. That's the trick. And I think I'm gonna do just one thing that's even a little easier. Well, hopefully. So if I do this, I want to copy those into I'm realizing I kind of do want to have some good defaults actually. So here, font size is the default. Like I want a sensible default for that. And then using all of those, I should be able to come up with a reasonably good estimate for a bounding box, especially with the benefit of having the text anchored center. That actually makes things a little bit easier for me. Yeah, I guess that's kind of okay. So let's actually go ahead and make that. Let's do something with it. So we've got bounds of. Oh, actually, do I even have transform centroid text high? Oh, does that make sense? Is it true? TF translate this text. Oop. 1010. Okay, good. That's good. Okay, so with this, right, I can do did I redef text? I don't think I did yet. Where am I? Oh man, I didn't. Okay. Let's do okay, none of this. Let's go elements, other, text. Redefine that. Text, high. Font size 12. That's not helpful, or not that helpful. What's the middle and central? What's the difference? Dominant baseline. Need to read up on this for a second. What? Well, whatever. Let's leave it as middle and go from there. Okay. That's weird. But okay. Right. So to continue, These are crazy. I'm not going to read this right now. I'm just going to keep on plugging along here. Let's get into the transforms namespace and update the bounds of text so that at the very least it doesn't break when I try to call bounds on a text element, right? That makes sense to me. So, text, here it is. Ah, come on, I hate that. Kill that. This is not what I need to see. Okay, I don't need this. That's not what I meant to do at all. Okay, so bounds of this. Let's just get out of there. Okay, so let's destructure the props right away to keys, keys, X, Y, font size. There's one problem, right? Because a user could specify font size as with different units, and I need it to be consistent units for calculating. This is really, there's a lot of frustrating things when it comes to text and fonts and stuff like that. Well, let's do this. Let's do let's just assume, like, we'll just get a number, assume it's pixels, because that's at least a starting point for a bounding box. Okay, I think that's reasonable. I mean, at least to start. It's better than things literally just failing. So, you know, there it is. Let's do SVG-CLJ dot elements / text high. So we want X, Y. That makes sense. The font size, and then we do need the actual text itself. So those are all of the things we need. Good. So now using that, let's do let. Let's do this here. Let HB string / split. So let's imagine it's this. Okay, the regex here is D star. I forget. let's see here. Because you can't read you can't, like, if you do read string of 12 pixels, invalid number, of course. Come on. Regex for digits, numbers, and number range. Yeah. To match any number from 0 to 9 /d \d. It'll match any single digit. Oh, right, it's -d plus, so string split, geez. Yeah, okay, there's that, but of course I need to keep regex match, keeping match. I always forget regex stuff. Clojure, split, keeping a match. I'm sure there's an example in here. Let's Control F, keep. Yes. Right, so you surround it with no equals any. Oh no. Whoop, that's not right. Let's try this. Close. All right. I'll be right back. Ba, ba. All right, where are we at with this? I figured this out before. I know that. I just don't remember. um. Um. Excuse me. Is it like this? No. No. This? That's nothing. This shouldn't be this difficult. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, see, on its own, without being wrapped around the look ahead, look behind thing, it clearly matches both. It just doesn't save the characters. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Everyone, hello. What is happening right now? Give me just a second here to catch up with what's going on. Oh my goodness. I'm trying to see who gave the raid here, and I'm realizing everyone's saying Emacs deleted, and I'm feeling shamed. I'm feeling shamed in the public square. Primogen, the Prime Agent, Primogen. Not sorry about that. Who's Emacs? Oh my goodness. This is very funny. If you here, let me appease briefly. All right. Let's do I've got Vim ready to go. Don't worry. All good fun. Oh my goodness. I can't thank everyone independently for the follows and stuff like that, but thanks everyone collectively. Oh, Primogen's known for his love for Emacs. Is that sarcasm? I'm having a hard time believing that entirely, to be honest. Your problem would be easier solved in NeoVim. I'm sure it would. Oh my goodness. Trust nothing that chat says. Yeah, TJ, thanks. Thanks. Oh my goodness. Sudo apt remove Emacs. All right, everyone. I'm not an expert yet, but I did recently install NeoVim, and someone I saw it in chat just a moment ago here. NeoVim plus Fennel equals Lisp Vim. I've been dabbling with that, so TJ, tell us about yourself and what you're working on. Yeah, yeah, sure thing. Tiling Windows on Mac, it kind of is. Yeah, it's. I'll get to that in a moment. Yeah. So, TJ, good question. I will go with that, and I know it's all good fun. The Emacs trolling is hilarious, but I'm not going to switch to Vim on the dime. So, but I'm dabbling, so keep that in mind. Yeah. So in general, I'm a Clojure developer. Not sure what everyone knows about Clojure. It's a Lisp language, as you can see here. What I'm working on today is this SVG library I've been working on. Let's have a little peek at this just for a minute here. Hey, new Clojure dev, nice. As long as it's not Visual Studio Code, we're friends. And yeah, Yabai, yeah, it is Yabai on Mac, absolutely. Oh no, is this OS X? It is. And honestly, I am kind of getting tired of OS X, if I'm totally honest. But I don't have, I can't switch everything immediately. But anyway, so what I'm working on right now is this library, SVG-CLJ. The whole idea is it's a library to help me make SVG graphics and stuff like that. Started Clojure this month. Great work. That's fantastic. I hope you enjoy the language. I really love it. I'm self-taught, so there's a lot of stuff I know. There's a lot of things I still don't, but can work. I'm working through it and building stuff. So the reason, well, let me back up just a little bit. I've got this really simple, call it a playground. You can write SVG Clojure code here and it'll generate an SVG drawing for you. So let's see here. It changes live. It's not a very good example. It's kind of bad. I use this to make 2D diagrams and stuff like that. Can Clojure run without the JVM? Well, so Clojure has a few different environments that it can run on. So have you heard of Lua? Lua would be better. You could create NeoVim plugins with it. Oh my goodness. VK. I've heard of all of these things. Fennel. Yeah, I've heard of all of it, I promise. Thanks everyone for following. I appreciate it all. And Clojure looks like Python with extra parens. Is this Emacs? All right. Let me be very explicit with the things on the screen here so everyone's clear. This here by my head is a Kitty terminal. Kitty. Right here is a Firefox browser. So I use it to look up and test things out, all that kind of junk. This is an SVG thing that says hello. Why not use Alacrity? I don't know. Honestly, I have no real answer. I haven't really cared to look that much. He already has an operating system. I'm an Emacs user. Yeah, the OS is right here. Yeah, so web browser here, terminal here behind my head, and then Emacs, which you all have mixed opinions about. It's very nice SVG that says hello. Yeah, so, right. So what I'm doing, I have this SVG library. I use it to make 2D diagrams. I am a mechanical engineer by schooling, and I'm working on building 2D and 3D CAD tooling for open source stuff. What does all that mean? I want to, over time, build open source CAD tooling to help me with sharing design ideas. So here's an example of some of the SVG stuff that I have made. It's a kind of trivial, not a great design, but the whole idea, you have this interactive thing here. These are SVG diagrams calculated in the browser and everything. And you've got different dials and stuff. You can adjust different parameters of the model, right? So the idea behind this, right, is to build, to write a little bit of code that can be quote unquote compiled into a 3D model, and then also you can generate 2D and 3D diagrams and all of that stuff with it. That's the idea overall. The SVG library is just one element of the pipeline I'm building up. Why SVG and not WebGL? SVG I'm doing first and primarily for generating PDFs, say for, whoa, donation. Wow, thank you. That, I'll be honest, that's rare on the channel. Thank you so much for that. That's really cool. Oh my goodness, so many Emacs trolls. I mean that in the best way. Genuinely, it's really funny to me. Yeah, so good question. Why SVG, not WebGL? WebGL is totally the quote unquote correct way to render 3D interactively in the browser. In fact, let me show an older example of a design I've done when I was using Python for some stuff. I have to update my update my landing page quite a bit. So here, for example, is a 3D model. Just having fun with friends. Oh yeah, I'm not offended or anything like that. I know it's all in good fun. Right. So here, this is built with 3JS. I think like really common. Are you a saint in the Church of Emacs as well? I'm a saint in use whatever is good for you, church. I try not to be preachy one way or another. Does that make sense? Dig in the color scheme. This color scheme is Nord theme, so nordtheme.com. Really, I think it's getting more popular. It's really nice and simple. Nord theme. It's a good one. Right, so this is WebGL. So I haven't built anything that use anything that's good for you unless it's VS Code. See, TJ, the thing about people and other opinions is that they're gonna have them whether you like it or not. So for myself and my own sanity, I think it's important to not to not worry too much. But when it comes to CAD and model sharing and stuff like that, I worked at a greenhouse manufacturing place, and a lot of the designs we did were technically all different, but 80+% the same underneath. Conceptually, they were the same. In the way that a M4 bolt is the same concept as an M8 bolt, but they're just different dimensions, right? Greater assemblies and designs have the same kind of intent with different parameters around them. So to be able to control things with code, I think is a cool way to go forward with things and keep it open source. So another thing is if you write things with code, you can kind of write entire documents with models and code all built in. So this is an example I made with, as you can see, it's not exactly like idiomatic Python or anything, but this is Python, and it uses a library called CAD query, and it generates these 3D models that you can view in the browser. This is using a thing called 3JS and A-Frame VR, so you could technically view it in a VR headset, I think. This is old. But this here is a laser tube cutter that I legitimately used to cut these pieces. I actually built this design. So we would be just open source or Libre software. Everything I make is going to be open source. At least that is the idea. Right. So the what I love is the idea of combining the fact that you can make things on a computer, right? You can make 3D models relatively quickly, and they're zero material cost, right? They're time cost and computation cost, right? Like those are the costs, but they're so minuscule compared to even making a real world prototype, right? So I love the idea that you can make prototypes digitally really quickly and cheaply. And I also love building things. Have the same keyboard. People made fun of me. I don't have this one anymore. I gave it away. I liked it though. It's not a bad keyboard. It does look strange. It looks kind of like an old school typewriter. There we go. Anyway, so I like, open source, cheap digital 3D modeling capability, and I like building things a lot. And combining those two interests into something is really compelling to me. So that's a bit of the motivation. And today specifically, it was just messing around with the SVG library a bit, cleaning it up a little bit, adding some more stuff to it. I'm trying to think of another more recent example of something I've done with the SVG stuff. Let's see here. So this, if anyone's familiar with the game Hades, I made this thing. Yeah, the round keys, yeah. Gotta go. Have an eventful evening. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, eh? Have you looked into CFD to simulate any wear and tear for your CAD needs? CFD, computational fluid dynamics? I'm not sure what you mean there. Been spamming Hades the past week. It's a great game. So what I did, just for kicks, where can I get a machine to make every model a reality? Well, the first step is something like this, actually. Shapeways. 3D printing. You can upload STLs, and they will literally ship you parts. So that's a start. It's expensive depending on the material, but you upload stuff. Is this the right 3D printing on demand? Yeah, it is. And DuckDuckGo. Yeah, DuckDuckGo is where it's at. So this is like a little art skull thing I designed. I made an STL, and I uploaded that to Shapeways, and they shipped me this 3D printed part. The lines on it, the black lines are my own, like I doodled on it myself. But you can design things and literally get them shipped to you in about a week. So there are capabilities kind of around for stepping us closer to that kind of reality. There's all kinds of stuff going on with that sort of thing. But other stuff, need to ask, how much do I lift? Why do you have to ask that? I'm trying to, that's funny. I'm trying to think what my last, I moved recently, so I don't have access to a gym anymore. But let's see, what's like an actual good PR? So I did deadlifts, and the last one I can remember was, let's see here, 3 plates each side. So that's, let's see here, calculator. You all are really distracting me, and that's totally okay, by the way. Yeah, so 315 pounds deadlift. Bench press, I got to 50 pounds each side. So there's still a long way to go with all of that stuff, but it's been fun. Right, so this here is a little side project I did to. Oh, this is why you're asking. Yeah. So the idea here was when you roll a random thing in Hades, you have to like do the exercise associated with it, right? So you roll random ones here. And this was, we're all locked up in our apartments during the pandemic and stuff. So that was the whole idea, to kind of just have some fun with it. You play a game and you work out at the same time. Um, anyway, all of these little lines and everything like that, those are all SVG elements that I created with my library here. So, oh, for CFD, I was wondering if there's a JavaScript implementation out there out of curiosity. I actually don't know about CFD. That's something on the kind of longer term horizon for integrating those sorts of ideas into the CAD pipeline I'm working on. So as of right now, I honestly don't know. Is there? I'm trying to think. Yeah, no. I honestly I don't have anything that great to point you toward at the moment. But it's a great question, right? And it's cool to see more and more of that stuff be open and on the web kind of thing. I can respect those weights. I can too. It takes a while to get up there, but it feels really nice to be, reasonably fit, capable of lifting a little bit, I do what I can. Shapeways has been prohibitively expensive. Not sure if you suck at picking materials. No, to be Big Rick. To be fair, it is expensive. Shapeways. Very likely, you could look into areas near you. Like you could go to a local library. They might have some printers. A school, and you might be able to get time on some cheaper printers. Or talk to local businesses or something like that. But yeah, maybe I could explain Clojure to everyone why it's awesome. Yeah, fair enough. That's a good question. I don't know how to how to read your screen name out loud, to be blunt about your name there. I'm gonna call you L, or is it I, or is it one? Yeah, that is a good question actually. Clojure, L is fine. Cool. I dig it. That sounds awesome. Barcode. Brilliant. Is it actually barcode? Is that the intent? Okay, Clojure. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I really am sorry for being a little bit distracted here. Let's just try to let's wrap our heads around Clojure then. Why don't we? Okay. So Clojure is let's go with barcode. Okay, so Clojure is a language. It's a Lisp. Lisp just stands for List Processor. So LISP. It's built entirely using Rust closures. Yeah, I don't know about that. So the first thing people are kind of, if they're not familiar with Lisp languages, is they're confused by the syntax a little bit. Doing great there, C-Films. That's good. Yeah, I hope everyone is doing great, by the way. I'm having a great time with I'm a chat that is inundating me with questions and stuff like that. That's very exciting. I appreciate everybody's presence and participation. Sincerely, it's fun. Text scale adjust. Okay. We are gonna shuffle these things around just a little bit. All right, this big window here is called the REPL. That's read, eval, print, loop. If you're familiar with Python, Python has a REPL as well. It's you could kind of think of it like a terminal where you can type code, press enter, and it will evaluate it and show you the result. So if I need to multiply 2 by 2, I can do that. Press enter, and the answer shows up right here. My Emacs, I have a YouTube video actually, and I have my Emacs on there. So if you look at my about page and all that kind of stuff, follow through the links. My GitHub has some stuff on there, and my YouTube page has a video where I made an Emacs explanation a little bit. I don't have the Emacs here. Oh, hey, thanks so much there, Barcode. L Barcode. That's the YouTube channel. I haven't made a quick link to the GitHub yet, so that'll actually be something I put on the list. But Clojure, right? Lisp language. It uses the syntax here. Everything is inside brackets like this, parentheses. The function you run is the first thing, and then the arguments are the next things. So if I want to create a function, define function is defin, and then I give it a name, and then I give it an argument like this. Okay, so to quickly read through this here, the function you run is the first thing. So this function is technically a macro, but that's unimportant. The function here is I want to define a function. So that expects the arguments to be a name for the function, then a list of arguments that the function will take, and then the body of that function, right? So in this case, all I'm doing is writing the word hi. So now if I run hi with chat as the argument, right, it prints the result hi chat there. So you can usually write code imperative style. Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, Clojure is also functional first is the idea, which I really happen to enjoy. So that means stuff like this. If I want to map increment over range 10, there. So what this reads like is map means run this function increment over the entire list that shows up here. So range 10 will print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then you'll run increment over each one of those things, right? So then you get a list here. And you can use all of those principles to build up really useful programs, to be silly about it. So a few, the things I love the most about Clojure are, I do actually really like the Lisp prefix notation syntax. Everything is in brackets like this. So, and you can always kind of read it in your own head like this. So this is multiply this thing by this thing. Okay, but first I need to know that what this thing is. So -2 from 4. So this will actually be converted. This will be calculated to -2. This will be +4. So the result of this should be -8. And there you go. Par infer allows you to ignore them pretty much and write it as if it's Python. Yeah, par infer is really good. There's also a par edit. I'm trying to use that. I have par edit right here. It does the automatic matching and stuff like that. Point is, the prefix notation, once you get used to it, it's actually quite powerful and it's not nearly as problematic as people might initially think. The other thing that it's a little harder to explain the benefits right now is it's immutable. So you don't generally you don't really do A is the number 2, and then you don't like change A at all later. It just stays the value that it is, and blah 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 blah. It can be really useful for structuring your programs, for transforming data a little more clearly. The mutability, it's hard to explain it very quickly, but once you get used to that feature as well, it also becomes really nice. It just makes your code feel pretty stable. And it uses the JVM, so it actually is running on Java. But someone asked earlier, and I forgot to answer it completely, Clojure you can run on different sorts of things. So you can run, there is a port of Clojure for the CLR, so .NET frameworks kind of thing, so C#, and you can use that to write Unity code if you want to make games. There's also Clojure script, which you can run on Node, so you can actually write and run Clojure without the JVM at all. You would call it Clojure script probably in that context, but you totally can. Hey, Mac, who raided? Oh boy, someone, Primogen, raided a while ago. Mac, you're... there might have been other people in the crowd that I've seen before, but Mac, you're the first screen name. Oh, and TJ that that I really recognize in a little bit. I've been inundated with new people, and it's been a ride. I've been enjoying it. Yeah. So I've been doing my best to keep up and try explain things. Unfortunately, I get really distracted, and there's so many fun questions and that sort of thing. So just doing what I can here. Once again, thanks everyone who has followed. I haven't been able to keep up with all of that. Thanks for interacting and all that good stuff. It's been really fun. Please do keep asking questions, and if there are people who can answer other people's questions, totally go ahead. I'm cool with all of that. Yeah, should have seen my response. Yeah. When you don't have mutability, every function input would always return the same output, right? That's a good question. Or technically, yes, except for the times where it's not true. So what does that mean? If you, let's say you write a function that takes some input, saves an output to a file, and returns something to you in the program as well. There's some side effect happening, and let's imagine that at some future point in your program, the file that was originally written gets read in. It, like, you have this side effect that can cause different output in the future, or undesired side effects. Yeah, so there are you like a function that will always return an output based on the same input, but the thing, like, a program is literally quite useless without side effects, right? Like, you need side effects at some point. You want side effects. You just want to know what they're doing, right? That's kind of the real thing. Like, yeah, and I want to be super clear. I am not some expert on functional programming, mutability, any of that sort of thing. I just know that the way Clojure works kind of works well in my brain, so I really like it as a language, right? I'm not going to claim it's definitely better or worse than anything else, you know? I just happen to really like the model that, and it lets me think differently, right? So I enjoy that. So, let's see. I was actually in the middle of something here. Text scale, let's just bring this back down a little bit here. Okay, so one of the things my SVG library does here is, if I have a look, I'm in the transforms namespace right now, so if I do, pay no mind to the trolling. Let's be nice and helpful where we can. We can joke around too, that's totally cool. But let's not be actually hostile to each other, but I trust that we're all good so far, yeah? Can I explain one of the methods we're seeing, like the bounds rectangle? Yeah, I'll let me show you what's going on with that. So my library has a few things. It's actually not too complicated. Let me collapse it all here into the categories. I've got utilities, which are things like converting between radians and degrees, rounding a number, averaging some numbers, some vector string manipulation stuff. Okay, nothing crazy. Distance is calculating the distance between two-dimensional points. Pretty useful with graphics, you can imagine. Some rotation stuff, dot product, blah, blah, blah. You know, the stuff that you've seen all over the place. Here, there's the elements folder, which contains all of the, there we go. It contains things like circle, ellipse, line. Let's run one of those here. So if I do circle 20, it returns this data structure here. It's got the tag, and then it's got some properties here. You can see that the function circle, I put the radius of 20. You can see the radius value shows up right here. Okay, so if I do circle 50, it returns R with the 50. Now the methods, right, the bounds, I actually can show you that right away. That's in a different namespace. It's called transforms. So if I do transforms bounds of circle of 20, it returns a list of points, and it's a bounding box, and those points are the four corners of the box. Okay, so that is just a useful function for finding things like centroids, for layout functions. I use it for rotation and group, finding the centroid of a whole group of elements, that sort of thing. Similarly, there's tf/centroid, right? If I do centroid of the circle, it's at 0, 0. But if I transform, if I do, how do I want to do this? Let's do this. Let's thread this. Sorry, let me, right, so this circle is at 0, 0. I have translate functions. I can translate the circle to 50, 20 in the canvas. So now the centroid of that element, it's been translated. So naturally the centroid of it will be at that position, right? Makes reasonable sense. The reason, so bounds is pretty trivial for things like rectangles and whatnot, right? Like you can imagine the bounds of a rectangle of 20 and 10 are going to be the exact corners of that rectangle, right? Like there's nothing too crazy about that. You've got the X and Y is the bottom left corner, which is exactly what you see here. But you can have these more complicated things called, like, you could have arbitrary polygon shapes. Oops, that was a mistake. You could do a polygon and you can pass it a list of points. And it's a little less obvious where the bounding box of that thing would be, right? So if you want to do the bounds of that thing, you can run it. And so how that is actually working along with rotate, translate, and centroid is you have to use in Clojure, they're called multi-methods, and they work like this. Let's have a little look at translate because it's a little more fun. First of all, you have to start here. You define multi, right? Def multi translate, and it will, you need to give it a dispatch function. So what, if you pass translate, let's take circle as an example. It'll run this function on the input of that. Yeah, thank you, barcode. Thanks, L. An opening paren, the first thing following the paren is the function name itself. That's a very good point. when I'm defining functions, the name of the function I'm defining is right here, right? The second thing. So a multi-method, you have to define a function that will take the input and dispatch. It will select the correct implementation to run on that particular input. So very simply, I have all of the shape elements. They have a tag at the front there, and they match the tag here. So if I'm translating a circle, it's running this code to do it. If I'm translating a line, it's running this code to do it. If I'm translating a polygon, it's running this, and so on and so on. And it's exactly the same idea for the bounds. It's the same idea for centroid and rotate and scale and everything as well. So hopefully that's a little bit clear. The stuff that gets a little more fun is when you do stuff like this, right? You can, I have this function that I just started making the other day. Let's actually show. See, there we go. I actually have now. Oh, I maybe got a little too aggressive there. See that? I can show the SVG results right in there. So let's make something maybe just a little more exciting than that, right? So A, for example, is a text element of some kind. Let's try to show. Sorry, cider show A. Oh, it doesn't show up very well. How, that's so cool. Yeah, so this one is almost a freebie, I'll be totally honest. It's there's two things going on. One, the cider show here, normally REPLs are text only. Yeah, so Emacs, I'm running Emacs, like the graphical Emacs, right? What I just showed you will not work in the Emacs terminal mode. So, you know, right, it is dependent, it's context dependent, right? So not perfect, but pretty cool. And as it turns out, Emacs graphical mode does have some nice built-in features already for showing those sorts of things. Org toggle inline images. Yeah, so let me make a better, let me show a better thing here. Let's do circle 20 again. Refresh this. There we go. So what's happening, what's actually happening is cider show is taking my code, converting it into SVG, and then rasterizing the SVG and saving it to a PNG file, and then displaying the PNG file into the REPL. And it's, for smaller SVGs, it happens pretty quick. So that's how you can see, right? If I undo this, this is just the temp file name. It's just a PNG image. It's honestly nothing special. It looks pretty cool, I will admit. But that's what's happening, right? And so you could use it, the whole idea is if you're kind of hacking away at something quickly, what does that actually look like, right? Because you can read the data, but it's really fun to be able to see something. And this is actually built into the cider REPL stuff anyway. If you create a Java file object, cider will detect that and be able to render it in the REPL for you. So I don't have a lot of hard work to do on my side there. The hardest thing is recognizing that you compile the Clojure data into SVG, then you rasterize the SVG to PNG, and then you can take advantage of graphical tools. Pretty straightforward. Thanks for the follow there. Again, people who have followed in the past little while. Sorry if I haven't said thanks directly. There have been a lot of things happening. I've been doing my best. So before I forget to do this, the reason I was looking at the bounds is because right now I have this text element, right? And I can do text and it spits out this data. But if I do transform/bounds of a text element, it doesn't actually return anything valid. So I have to work on that. What tiling window manager am I using? Yeah, that is Mac OS Yabai. My Mac setup is not flawless, I'll say that. You can see things hitch and stuff like that. It's not perfect, but it works well enough. If this decides to actually work, here we go. YABAI. That's what you're looking at here. And if you go to the wiki, it can explain how to install it. You have to change some things with SIP, System Integrity Protection. There's a caveat about that, so, you know, mileage may vary. But that is what I use, and it looks pretty nice in my opinion. And I have just some default setup. I didn't try very hard. Yeah, it does look nice, eh? It works quite well for streaming because it lets you... it does get a little claustrophobic sometimes, but it does let you kind of mush a lot of information onto the screen, right? Use Hammer Spoon. You can create your own tiling window tool with it. Did I mention Fennel yet? Hey, you know what? You like if you didn't mention Fennel even once, like I've been sold on Fennel for a while now. I am I think like every good programmer at one point they've thought, should I make a video game? Whether or not they actually can is irrelevant, but I've been looking at Fennel with Love 2D to try and make a game out of that. So Fennel, it's on my radar, absolutely. But Hammer Spoon on Mac OS. Let me do this for a second here. Use Hammer Spoon. There. Hammerspoon.org. Thanks for that. Just as a heads up for anyone with URLs and links to share, it's totally okay to share things as long as you're not a jerk. I generally am going to trust that people following a channel doing programming I just want to assume that I can trust most people, and I don't want people to abuse it. So links are okay. I don't usually open them up on my stream computer. Additionally, I have a second computer that's actually doing the streaming, so I can't open them directly anyway unless I type them manually. I don't have keyboard or clipboard sharing or anything like that. So feel free to share the links, but don't expect me to show them on the screen. I hope that's cool. Anyway, thanks for sharing the link. Thanks for the update here. I'll have to give that one a look. And back to this. I have to do this before I forget. I need to fix the bounds function so that it returns a at least good guess as to the bounds of a text element. The reason this doesn't exist is because calculating the bounds of text is actually kind of hard. Have I used Divi? I don't know what Divi is. Let me use Divi. Is Clojure good for web dev? What is Clojure better at doing? Ooh, better, I'm not sure. It is technically a general purpose language. I'm not the world's greatest web dev, so my opinion about things is probably not the most robust. However, Clojure is absolutely perfectly capable of doing web dev totally fine. In fact, a lot of people really like it because of the existence of Clojure script, which is Clojure that transpiles to JavaScript. So you can use Clojure on the server side and Clojure script on the front end. And in many, many cases, you can literally use the same code. As is always true, there are some things you need to know, but generally, it works extremely well. I love it, is my take on it. What does Clojure do better? I mean, that one I honestly I don't have a clean answer for you. It's still a fairly niche language overall. It does immutability, it does functional programming very, very well. It's like top in class, that kind of thing. Look into Clojure script and the Fig Wheel tool. Yes, those are amazing tools. I love them. Divi is a pseudo window tiling manager on top of OS X, but it's not free. I mean, as long as it's not prohibitively expensive, it might be worth a try. Honestly, I don't mind paying for tools these days. Just knowing how much work even doing tiny little things can take, I really appreciate that people want to charge for the work they've done. So I get that, but I'll have to keep that one in mind. All right, enough. Let's actually get this bounds thing. Let's get a bit of text going here. Okay, so what I've got, I need to roughly estimate the height of this thing, right? And to do that, I need to go Clojure split string keep the match. So what I'm doing here, let's get into this namespace. Once I'm done this bounds thing, I actually can load up a Fig Wheel project I've got. Show us the parens. I could show a Fig Wheel project that uses this library. That might be kind of fun to show. I need to rework my org workflow a little bit, to be honest. I'm not 100% happy with things all the time, but we get by just fine. Right, so here, the bounds thing, when it's given a text element, it'll take the text's X and Y coordinate and the text's font size. There is a get bounding box method that gives width and height. That only runs on the, like, in a JavaScript context. Is that correct? Is that correct, Martin? Yes. So that won't work for what I need. And the reason is because I need to be able to use it in a REPL context right here, for example. So I can't use a JavaScript method on the Clojure side necessarily. So I could use it in Clojure script side theoretically, but I still need to come up with a way to use it Clojure side. Clojure first appeared in 2007, 14 years ago. 14 years already? Man, that's actually like an older language than than it feels like. Right, so Martin, it's like I want to use that, but I need to be able to use it. I need to be able to use the result of the bounding box method in the pipeline of generating the stuff. So Clojure side as well. Does that make sense? Yeah, Clojure was designed by Rich Hickey, who gives really nice philosophical programming talks. If you have a chance, you should watch Simple Made Easy. It's a really nice talk. All right, so here I want to do string split font size. I'm going to assume it's a string, although I should... I'm doing it the dumb way. Start with the dumb way, and we can fix things later. That's the rule. So we've got to do equals digit. This won't work, but I'll put something in place. Yeah. And then I want first from that. So here's a nice thing about REPL development is you can just run bits of these kind of in here. So let's def A is some string. It's going to be 12 pixels, right? Hey, C-Films, do you use you develop a website? Oh, you use vanilla PHP. I was just about to ask if you use Rust, but I see you mentioned what you use up there. PHP server side and JavaScript client side. Sounds nice. What kind of stuff do you work on your website there? Is it like oh yeah, there you go. Rich Hickey, simple made easy. It's a nice talk for sure. Every Clojure dev will recommend that video to you. Case in point, I just have. The cool thing is, like, the ideas of the talk are applicable whether or not you use Clojure. It's philosophical in nature, right? Yeah, including barcode. Clojure's older than Go and Rust. See, it's newer to me. Well, no, it's equally new to me. I'm new to everything. How about that? I'm self-taught, haven't been programming for too long, so there's so many things I have to learn yet. So what I'm trying to do here is string split A with this here. And what I need it to do is save how does this work? Again, I keep forgetting. Someone had a good example of it here. Here. Using lookarounds, you can keep the matching characters. So this is, I did it wrong. Okay, so this is almost what I want, except I need it to have all of the digits in one chunk. Website cfilms.com. Thanks for sharing. Like I said, remember to everyone sharing links, it's no problem, but I am very unlikely to open it up on the stream, but it's totally cool to share the links. Why does this one not work? I thought... Nope. Now, watch me stumble with regex for a minute or two here. Sorry, everyone. What I want is, I want this result to look like this. I want it to look like a string that says 12 and then a string that says pixels. Then, right, from there I can do first of that, which will be 12, and then pixels. And then from there I can do... number, right? I think. Oh, no, sorry. I could just do read string. Jeez. Then it'll get me the number, and that's good enough. \d star. I think I tried that. I'm willing to give it a shot, though. Oh, I don't think I tried it since everyone's been watching, but... Oh, no. Do I know how to do anything? Oh, let's see here. So here's something that does confuse me just a bit. If I do this, if I don't use the look ahead or look behind, I can do -d plus, and it does very clearly match the 1 and the 2, except The problem is it's just discarded them, right? But I don't want to discard them. Can I invert? No, that's not it either. Well, for a moment, let me get the rest of this function in place. Let's assume we'll comment that out and just do read string font size. This is gonna break, but I just want to get something finished on the function, right? And then I can fix that little bit. That's okay. Okay, so all I'm doing for this is getting an estimated bounding box. What I'm going to do is assume the font size is in pixels, so then the height is going to be that font size. Naive? Totally, but fine. I'm just going to be okay with it. And I'm going to use an aspect ratio of 0.6 arbitrarily and get the width calculated in this sort of weird way. Let's do this. Aspect ratio is some hard-coded value here. Also trying to develop a calculator in a new programming language. Oh boy. Is that just like a hobby language, or like scratch an itch of yours, or you have some big ideas in mind? It's really fun to build languages and stuff like that. And there's so many of them, right? It sounds like fun. Sounds like a cool project. What other cool projects are other people working on? Feel free to share. I honestly love to see and hear what other people are working on. It's a lot of fun. Right. So the gross hack that I'm doing here is I'm gonna count. Can you count a string? Yes, you can. So I'm gonna just literally do the aspect ratio times the height times the count of the text. Okay, and that's gonna give me a really rough estimate of the width. So then you could use Austin to get a headless browser. That's a very intriguing idea. Significant refactoring. Full support for nREPL. I'm going to put this, I'm going to give myself a little note here. Look into Austin for a headless browser. Could use this to get access to, what's the method called again? .getBbox. This is a suggestion from MAACL72. Yeah. Text editor has no line numbers. That is correct. I don't like them. That's not true. You actually do point out a bit of a weakness in my setup here. The reason they don't have line numbers is because they actually they're not relevant in the context of it. Like if I error out on a they never figured out line numbers. I'm pretty sure Emacs can have line numbers. They're irrelevant, or they're not irrelevant. They just don't match because I'm working in a single org file here, but the org file gets split out into 5 or 6 different source files. So if there's an error in line 20 of source file 3, the line number 20 is completely irrelevant. It could be line number 233 in the org file. So it's not that helpful. I'm totally willing to admit that this is a flaw in how I do work. And it's something I've been trying to think about solving over time. But I don't have anything in mind yet. I also haven't noticed it being a huge, huge problem. But once again, NeoVim shows up as a potential solution to these kinds of things. Yes, I will admit. Okay, so we got a hacky approach here. So that's the width and the height, and all I need to do now is this whole thing. I can just be lazy. What did I even... Wait, sorry, I have to remember what I'm doing here. Known line numbers is part of simple Clojure. Line numbers complect. Nice one, Martin. You show him. You show him. Okay. Here's what's happening, okay? I'm going to get this bounds thing for text done. Then I'm going to load up excuse me, an example Clojure script project using some of the SVG stuff. And then I'm going to see if there's any chatting that's worth doing and get going soonish. But I've been having a wonderful time. Still got some time on me yet, so no rush. I'm just verbalizing what's going through my brain, right? So we do have midpoints. I'm trying to... I don't remember what all this was about, to be honest. Oh, never mind. I see. Actually, I do need to... Just talking to I'm talking myself in circles right now. So I can actually use a lot of this here. So the reason... This should work. So, but first, instead of... Oh, come on. What's that? Oh, I know what that is. Yeah. Org thinks this is a link, I guess. Let's break it like this. So these points are not quite right yet. Really enjoying the stream. How'd you first get into streaming? Oh, I honestly, thank you. I'm glad. So I genuinely love streaming too. There are some days where I guess I'm coming in a little tired, or the code's not doing what I want, or my brain's not at it. So some days it feels a little bit of a struggle, but on the whole, I really like it, and it is so encouraging to hear you say that you enjoy it. I appreciate that a lot. What got me first into it? A few years ago, I was just reading an article by someone named Suze Hinton. Suze Hinton, I think is how it is. She goes by at noopcat, like that, I think. Whoops. Some raycasting using Clojure script. Oh man, using Quill too. I'm gonna have to pop that on my to read list. Anyway, so I read this article and she was describing that she does programming streams, and I thought, whoa, I didn't know people could do that. And I thought that was so cool, and I kept it in my head for a while. And then eventually I started teaching myself more and more programming, and I wanted a way to force myself to kind of regularly practice and do things. And I thought a stream would be a really unique way to build a little bit of consistency into trying, you know? And I've been doing it for quite a while now, and slowly learning better programming, learning how to do Twitch streaming and stuff, and just making my way in the world, you know? And I'm just glad that people are here enjoying it too. I genuinely, that's fantastic. So yeah, it was a few things, right? One, it was nice to be able to work in the open is kind of cool too. Like to show that, hey, you know what? You don't have to be perfect to still build stuff. And it forces me to stay consistent, pay attention to what I'm doing, all that kind of stuff, day in, day out, you know? And I like talking with people about programming and whatever, about trolling on Vim and Emacs and stuff like that. It's just enjoyable to me. It's very fun. Let's try to understand what I was doing here, right? So, okay, so the points, actually what I need to do is I have the width and height, but I need to do the half width and half height, actually. So, divided by 2. Is this the cleanest approach? Nah, but that's okay for right now. For right now, that's just gonna be fine. 2.0, like that. Just got raided by the most hardcore Vim fan base. I'll say this. I'm extremely appreciative of the fact that everyone was joking around, but being nice about it. Every once in a while you read like a, you know, it's maybe less common now, but you can see these sort of flame wars on forums and stuff about what's better, what's worse, and that isn't fun for me. So the joking around, I love it, and that people are respectful, that's aces. That's fantastic. Right, so to get the bottom left corner, I need to take the center point and subtract the half width and the half height. So that's going to look like x minus half width, y minus half height. That's that corner. Then this corner is going to be x plus half width, and the same thing here. A little bit messy, but a little bit okay for right now. Then the top right corner is plus x like this, plus y half height. Then finally the last thing, x minus the half width like this, y plus the half height. Oh boy, a little messy. Okay, whoop. What have I done? Vim. Dangling meta character. What are you talking about? What do you want about, huh? Let's get rid of this. Unable to resolve symbol H. Yeah. Let's leave height like this. And then the half height is height divided by 2. Oh, come on. props, keys. Oh, sorry everyone. I'm losing the plot. All right. We have to get as props here. I am wondering if I'm actually doing a few things wrong, but for right now, I'll just call it okay and kind of poke around with the function as I go. These are just X and Y. There we go. Okay. Well, let's define A as text hi chat. Okay. No. SVG-CLJ.elements/text bounds A. Well, I have to figure that one out. Oh, sorry, let me, the word cons got auto-modded. Let me fix that for a second. Oh boy, oh boy. Do the pros outweigh the cons in what you use? For now, they definitely do. Will they forever? That's a good question. I don't know. But I try not to worry about the far future, right? You kind of want to think ahead, but not too far ahead, that sort of thing. Hey, I have to go to the washroom for a minute. Does someone, just to fill the dead air for a moment, is someone willing to post the link to my YouTube channel again, just while I'm off? I'll be like 2 minutes. Then people could check that out if they want to. I'll be right back. Boop, 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 boo. All right, let's see what's going on here. Woohoo! All right, let's see. All right, brain, where are we at here? A is some text element, right? Hi chat. That's good. Let's do bounds. A. Doesn't work. Long cannot be cast to string. Right, of course. let me cut this down and just have a quick look to make sure that the points actually make a little bit of sense as they are. Oh. Okay. Oh, something else going wrong here. Is this wrong? What if I cons, pros, cons outweigh cons, everything nil. Hey, C Films, I see you've mistaken me for a for a more well prepared streamer. My goodness. Let me add schedule, add dot files. Okay. C Films, just as a heads up, my schedule, since I don't have the bot set up, I do Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. However, this week is a reduced week because I'm going camping. I've got Monday, Tuesday, and maybe Wednesday. Typical time, geez. Typical time is 2 p.m. No, sorry. 12 p.m. Pacific time, which is about 3 Eastern time. And I try to go for two to 3 hours. Lots of streamers don't have a consistent schedule. Yeah, so part of the, like, I have a lot of other programming work that I need to do, and I mean, I need to live my life and all of that, so I can't stream all the time. And sometimes my schedule does stop, like for example, this week I'm going camping. I'm not going to stream while I'm camping. Obviously, that would be tough. But I do try to be as consistent as possible. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. That's usually what I try to do. Just a few hours every time. Hopefully that's cool. And I'm trying to build more consistency around a YouTube video release schedule as well. That has actually been harder than I thought to do. But that's a me problem. That's not anything anyone has to worry about. Let's get this thing going, huh? How about that? Let's just get props. H is maybe this is the problem. If I read string 12, okay. I found what was going wrong. Let's undo this. Let's get this back in business. Okay. Let's go from here. Read string, font size. Ridiculous. Bounds A is nil. This is because I'm not returning anything at all. Let's return points. Look at that. We've got 4 corner points. That's a bounding box around a text element. Now, we've got at least that working. Let's uncomment these other things and see if the logic of this will work correctly. And I think it should, honestly. Nope. This. Looks good so far. You are Twitch's knowledge and enthusiast on movies and TV. In addition, you do web dev and database stuff. Good luck with streaming and other like things. Hey, C-Films, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just by you trying to use different bot commands, I've learned a few things that I could easily add to it. So thanks for that. Appreciate the encouragement. Right, so we've got a bounding box. Let's press the save button on this one. That's a win. Let me also check rotate. Yeah. Okay, so rotate seems to work. If I do bounds of that now, right? That's the real trick. Bounds. It changes. Okay. Things are looking pretty good. Pretty good, if I do say so myself. Let's do... Okay, right. Now, okay, so we got that going. Before I call it for the day, I do want to... Someone... it was briefly talked about earlier about Clojure script, and someone mentioned Figwheel and all of that stuff, and using Clojure for web dev. I'm going to open up a project I just finished. It's not web dev in a traditional sense, but it uses Figwheel and Reagent, which is a React library, to create components with Clojure script into the web browser. I use it to generate PDFs, but I digress. It's a cool project to show. So that's what I'm going to boot up, launch it, and show you the result of that. And then I'm going to get going after that. So I think that's a good way to wrap things up. What's a good... What was the flower power? Yeah. Okay. Cider jack in CLJS. Hopefully things go without issue. They should be fine, but you never know. The curse of doing things live on stream, right? So the REPL type is Figwheel main, the newest version of Figwheel. The build is dev. Let's do myself a little favor here. So that's booting up. One thing that people do rightly criticize about Clojure is sometimes there's some slow boot up times, but I mean, I'm casual, you know? I can wait. I'm patient. What are some tips and advice for functional programming? Tips and advice for functional programming. Ooh, good question. Well, to be completely pragmatic about it, the first thing I would say is to worry about, am I doing functional programming a little bit less while you're learning some of the ideas? Does that make sense? Like, I was really worried for no reason about, wait, did I write this function imperatively or is it functional? When what's more important is just starting to recognize when you can use different structures, if that makes sense. Greatest demo of Figwheel ever. What video is that? I'm gonna have to. Man, there's so many good links to have a look at as I go. Did I break it? Oh no! Oh, that's terrible. Shoot. That's a bummer. Oh, by the creator of Figwheel. Oh, is it Neil? It's Bowman, something like that. He's a cool guy. Is it the Flappy Bird demo? Oh, Bruce Hammond, yeah. Not the Flappy Bird one. Okay. You know what? It's on my tabs over there. I'll have a look after. All right. I goofed it. That's a shame. Well, let's see. Let's get this to be as simple as possible. Yeah, fine. You can't load it. I don't care right now. Cyclic load dependency. That's not good. Let's see if I can short circuit that and fix it quickly. So while I'm doing this is actually a good thing to kind of figure out. The reason these things are happening is I haven't got to what I would consider a stable version yet of my SVG library. It's actually closer and closer, but things like the text bounding box are a good example of why I didn't want to release it yet, like as a version 1 or anything. But while I'm developing it, I'm using it to learn the kinds of features I actually want to put into it. And doing that is fun, except that you can break things. While things are still unstable, things can break, and it's my own fault, but it's the downside of iterating while you're also using the library. But I think it's ultimately good because it kind of, I discover features rather than try to guess what other people might like to use, if that makes sense. And I think that's a better way to go about things. I need to. Let's just go into elements here and just get rid of this entirely for now. I don't actually need this in there, really. I should put it in like a sandbox namespace. That makes more sense. And I believe that should actually fix that. I'm surprised that the tools thing is showing up in here at all, because I made it CLJ file, not a CLJS file. So there must be an import somewhere that I don't want to. I'll figure that out as I go. Do you feel like the literate programming style helps you, by the way? I can imagine it would become too focused on English writing instead of the code. So this is actually that's a really good question. And the completely honest answer is I think literate programming is becoming a little bit less useful than it was while I was starting out. The thing that's actually the most useful about it is not so much writing tons and tons of words, but way more this exact sort of thing. Scratch, Clojure, tangle into dot slash scratch.clj, defen garbage. Okay, so I made some function that does something. Turns out it's super useful, right? I don't even need to tangle it if I don't want to. I could just spit this into a REPL and it only exists in the context of the org file. But, oh, suddenly this is actually a super useful thing. I can change this heading to super useful, and I can pop it way up here and reorder my library. And this sort of thing, the quick reordering and shuffling around of the code, just works for my brain. It lets me organize things one way and then realize, well, that was a stupid way of doing it, and pull things out relatively easily and just plug them back in somewhere else. That I really love. I also love being able to just type little things here, like da 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 suggests, and then you put a link to something.com, and it's a followable link. It's like, it doesn't have to be clean, it just has to be in the buffer. You know what I mean? Yeah, shuffling around like that is pretty fun, right? That's the kind of stuff that I do quite like. Let's see here. Am I gonna get this working or not? That's my question. Read string, of course, not working. That is a problem that I should be able to fix with this. Cool, thanks. Yeah. So, but it, like, your question about literate programming being useful is a genuinely important question that I do regularly kind of ask myself, you know? And the thing that I do still, like, I try really hard. If you actually look at the folder structure here, oh, this is pretty crappy. Ignoring things like out.png and right, so license, deps.eden, examples, source. Any Clojure dev would look at this folder structure and be like, oh, it's a normal Clojure project. They use the deps.eden approach. Yeah, their source stuff is going to have the source. Test will have their tests. It, like, if you don't want to use literate programming, you don't have to. It's just not necessary. Like, this is the only part that is a literate programming thing. Now, the obvious downside is if I start collaborating with someone else and they absolutely hate Emacs and org mode and everything about it, they will go and edit the source files, which is totally fine. But then it's a one-way connection. I would have to build some extra tooling to make it a two-way. I'm sure it's possible. In fact, I have looked into that. But it's not without some weaknesses there. But if someone wants to read and look at my code, the structure is totally normal. It's not weird in any way. What is literate programming? It's the concept. It's an older programming concept at this point. by Donald Knuth. The whole idea is you have a file that contains both normal text that humans can read and source code that a computer can compile. So this whole file is a text file. So here's a really good example. This heading transforms, and this whole chunk here is just text. I can read it, you can read it. The computer ignores it. It's not code that runs. But then if I go into this part here, I have this little thing here called begin source and end source, and everything inside here, this whole highlighted bit, is executable code. And that's true down here as well. So I have, you can mix text for humans and code for computers. Every time I save this file, it goes through and saves every chunk of code into its own source file according to where I want to save it. For example, this here, this chunk of code gets pasted at the top of the transforms.cljc file. Then the next chunk of code gets appended to the end of the transforms file, and it's this here, and on and on and on. But if I went like this, new file.cljc, this little bit of code would end up in a new file. So literate programming is approaching a program in this way, where you type explanations for humans intermixed with functions and things like that. So PHP is literate programming. So it's more of an idea, it's not a language specifically. If you were to write PHP where you have really, really detailed comment blocks explaining exactly what you're doing as you're writing the code, you could make the argument that that is literate programming in a sense. The only slight difference is this here. The other thing is you can export really nice HTML. You can format all of this to read like you could open it up in a web page, and the document is really nice. You could make it a PDF, that sort of thing. So how does PHP have anything to do with the concept? So I think C Films uses PHP, so they're using it as a point of reference. So, but to be totally clear, like I could do some example. Imagine I wanted to write some PHP here. I actually can. So I could do this new source code block, right? And I can do PHP. And I have no idea how to write PHP, so I can't actually. This is PHP. Anyway, the whole point is literate programming works like you could put Python here, and I could do 2 plus 2 doesn't execute. See that in the bottom here, it executed. Oh no, sorry, it just anyway. Is anybody doing that kind of stuff? HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and PHP in a single file. Oh, I see. I think embedding different languages in one file is not quite the same as literate programming. The key focus with literate programming is that you're writing paragraphs that explain things to other humans. That's kind of the key takeaway with literate programming. Yeah, you could call shell scripts and everything too. That's a really good point. All right, I gotta get this working at least a little bit. Sessman restarts. Try it again. Oh, did I save the change? Yes, good. Jeez. I hope this compiles soon. The reason this is called Flower Power, or one reason this is called Flower Power. Why? I was pretty sure I fixed that. Huh. Don't get the advantage of it over using comments. That is a fair criticism. There isn't necessarily an advantage. I just happen to enjoy working this way. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it's a way you can do it, you know? When you learnt about literate programming, you thought it was just large comments detailing your way of thinking alongside the code, but it was just comments. Yeah, I want to be very clear. I'm not like evangelizing for literate programming. I just enjoy the ability to structure the document all in one sort of thing. A little bit like a Jupyter notebook. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap with the way people like to use Jupyter notebooks and the idea of literate programming. I think it kind of, if it, I would guess it's like if you hear about it, you're either going to be like, "Oh, that sounds amazing" right away, or you're like, "I don't really get it." There's kind of like those two reactions, and both are totally fine. It's just I think different people kind of connect to the idea differently, you know? I am trying to see why this isn't working, and I'm getting lazy if I'm totally honest. But look, I just want to try have something visual up on the screen before I call it for the day. Where are we at here? Why? Guys, I don't know how to use computers. Invalid hiccup form, nil. Thank you. I don't... Okay. Sessman quit. Okay, let's have a peek here for a moment. Don't care if literate programming is the best or not, just happy to see a practitioner. Well, that's me. I'm using it. I'm doing what I can. Transforms, namespace. What did I do? Nothing, apparently. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry. I'm getting to that point in my programming day where I need to take a break soon. So things are happening a little slower up in the brain box. I just hope you're all fine with that. If you could bear with me for a minute or two yet, I can get something on screen, and that could be fun. Do you like comments more or more detailed variables and functions? I try to not put a ton of comments in. I try to make functions make sense when you look at them, if that makes sense. It doesn't always work, but if you write functions that are kind of clear, the variable names make sense in context, then you can do with fewer comments. So that's my preference. I'm not always good at it. And one of the major things I need to do is add doc strings here. So I can add, this is a doc string. I need to start adding in more doc strings to all these things as I get closer to a 1.0 stable release. That's really important. But then comments are not really. I don't think I need to put a ton of comments in. If the doc strings are clear, the variable names make sense, all that stuff. That's my preference. Yes. Let's try one more time, shall we? I don't know where this is from. Well, let's try this one more time. Cider Jack in CLJS. You're the kid. You were the kid that wrote a comment explaining if true. Yeah, completely relatable. So, to be like, I still do stuff like that now. Like, if I'm just thinking, I'll actually just type out a thing that is like the most obvious thing, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't need that, and just delete it. But I still do that. I just do my best to notice it and get rid of the useless comments. But hey, you know what? We're all still humans. Sometimes we do stuff like that. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be trying. That's more promising. I want to be clear too. The trouble I've been having is not related to Figwheel. Hey, it says hi. The trouble I've been having trying to get this going is not at all related to Figwheel or ClojureScript. It's related to the fact that I keep breaking my own library. I explained x is defined and takes the value of 3. Int x equals 3. You had to, in some command line tools, you do like tool dash v is like extra verbosity. That was you writing your assignments. Okay. What we have here is just never stopped in order. You were trolling the teacher through the comments. So rude, so rude. Hi, this is hot code reloading. Okay, so here's the thing that's cool about Figwheel. Okay, so I've got a REPL here, so I can run Clojure code technically in the browser. But if I make a code change, I saved it. You give it a second here, and the change will show up here. Well, there we go. How dare I try to show off what's... What? How dare I try to be effective with showing things. End of file. That's my bad. Okay, there we go. Kinda. So here is... this is a Figwheel project... And this project is a quilt design pattern, okay? I made a PDF and it's sold on a quilt design website, right? I didn't make the quilt or anything. I do this with my mom sometimes. But every diagram you see here is generated using my SVG library. And you can build up functions and reuse all the components. And all of this is generated using ClojureScript. And in my opinion, this is really cool. Like this, I think looks so beautiful, don't you think? This here, like I think that's fantastic. I genuinely am proud of this, and this is one of the use cases of the SVG library. And what I love is I showed it earlier, but this is a less good example, but this is 3D, isometric 3D, right? Just saw resizing the browser. How did it resize iTerm and Emacs at the same time? Oh, you mean like this? So this, Oh, Seven Strange Melons. Thanks. I appreciate that. Uh, I'll answer your question about the resizing in just a second. To finish the thought I had here, this here is very manufacturing, right? It's very much like CAD kind of thing, isometric. Um, Design detailed drawings is the idea here. It uses my SVG library. So does this. Like I just love that this is that you can use the same my same code base for very different design applications. I really like that. And to answer your question about how I resized these at the same time, this is very common in what's called tiling window managers. Tiling window manager, it um, it does what it says. It tiles everything. It makes all of the windows fill up as much space as possible, and it will automatically size different things for you like this. So on Mac OS X, to get a tiling window manager, I have installed this program to handle the window resizing for me. Yabai. It's tiling window management for the Mac. It's exactly what it says, and that's the whole secret. You just go through the wiki and install it. There's a few things you have to handle, but that's exactly what it's for. There's also Linux i3 window manager. Thanks for a great stream. Glad I stayed for the raid. Well, thank you too. I'm glad you stayed as well. So here, i3 improved tiling window management. This is a Linux thing. Does it ever break any programs on Mac OS? Yeah, it's not perfect. Sometimes if you so I think you could configure your way around a lot of things, but if you say have sometimes I use iMovie to do some quick cut edits, and I have to do the open file dialog, right? So you'll have your iMovie window full, like filling the screen, and then the open dialog will pop up, and it won't size properly. It'll kind of mess around with things. So if you're opening up the Finder window a lot, it can get a little weird. The reason I love it is precisely for my streams, because I can keep a lot of information. It's some Illuminati magic. I promise it isn't. The reason I like a tiling window manager is it's really good for streaming, right? It's so quick and easy to move things around on the screen, keep things relatively scrunched on the window, that sort of thing. But yeah, you can. So i3 is another example. You can't. I don't think you can run it on Mac. So Yabai is what I use on the Mac. Yeah, that's called tiling window management. This is an old app. This is yeah. Oh, let me show you a hot reloading example. Okay, so let's make it actually work for a minute here. Let's get rid of this high up here. That's actually not using. That's not useful. I'm gonna add something here. Let's imagine that this was called something different. Okay. Let's go here. From the tiling window manager I use, you can add rules to make certain windows not tile. It was never annoying enough to bother with anyway for me. Yeah, seven strange melons. Actually, that's the same for me. The amount of times where it's like super problematic are so rare that I just haven't set it up. But I am quite sure it's called float status or something like that. Like you can make certain you can set rules based on a filter for the name of a window, and if it's like a sub window, you can say always float so that it never messes with the layout. But I am too lazy. When I build a new Linux workstation, I'm gonna set things up nicer on something like that. I just haven't done that yet. All right, let's see. I've got the document intro. Hi chat. Save that. I'm not sure why it's doing that. It shouldn't do that because this is fine. Oops. Have to look into that. It's a poor example, but you can see here when it does compile it does work. So that's actually unfortunately something I'm gonna have to fix or figure out after the fact. Anyway, this is going to mark the end of this stream for the day. I would like to thank everyone once again for tuning in. Thanks for a wonderful time, honestly. The raid was fantastic. Thanks, people, for sticking around. If you're new here and followed, thank you so much for that. If you're new and stuck around and gave me a chance, that is super appreciated too. I really do like it. I'm gonna show a link to my YouTube channel. How about that? Because why not? If you enjoyed this stuff, I am working on YouTube content as well. It's usually related to Clojure and CAD, programmatic CAD, that sort of thing. Feel free to check it out. Give it a follow, subscription if you want to. No pressure, obviously. But all that's good and fun. I don't have anything more to say other than thanks once again, everyone. I appreciate it a lot. Gonna make sure that link gets posted on this good old slow computer of mine. Goodness gracious me. Well, maybe that's not gonna happen. Let's see here. Let's do this. Channel Adam James TV. Awesome stream, thanks. Yeah, thanks to you as well. This is what my channel looks like. Adam James is my name there. So here, for example, using Emacs for literate programming, programmatic CAD with Clojure, 3D CAD modeling, some FFmpeg automation, that sort of thing. Already subscribed? Want to stream a bit? So I'm going to get going very soon. Here's that Hercules thing, generating HTML, blah, blah, blah. I've got some more videos coming up soon, so consider subscribing to that. It's all good. Links in there. Yeah, I don't recommend running OBS from the Mac directly. What I do is, what's a quick way to show this here? Yeah, this is fine. See, I have a second computer and this computer. I've got, my Mac is not doing any streaming at all. All it excuse me, all it's doing is outputting its video to the computer that does stream. And that one that streams is it is a laptop, which is why I have slow chat sometimes. But it runs Windows 10, which makes OBS work a little bit easier. My recommendation is, if you can manage it, run OBS on a different computer and use the Mac to do the game or the programming or whatever it is. Put that out to HD60S capture card or something like that. That's how I set it up. That's my recommendation. The nice thing is, if my Mac crashes or needs to restart, my stream's still live. They're independent, but that is how I do it. Surely you're investing in a Windows PC, yeah, give it some research. There are good resources. Other people have good recommendations online. Don't sweat it too much. Like, if you're just trying it out, it's better to make something work and see if you enjoy it overall, right? You don't want to spend tons and tons and tons of money on a thing that you realize, oh wait, it's not actually what I thought it was, and I don't enjoy it. So do a bit of looking into it, do a bit of experimenting. If you do it and it looks crappy but it was fun for you to try, that's a good indicator that you might enjoy it. You know what I mean? But keep the pressure low on yourself. That's really all. And my experience is only this. I'm small. I just stream for fun a lot of the time, that sort of thing. Gotcha. Yeah, hey, best of luck. Best of luck. All right. For real, I'm heading out. Thanks once again, everyone. I will be back streaming again tomorrow. Feel free to show up. Or don't. That's totally cool, too. I hope you all have a good day, good night, good evening. And I hope you stay healthy and well as much as possible. All right. That's all from me. Bye, everyone.